Last time the Star Warrior Chronicles, the Prophesied King. Our heroes finally meet up with Terry, who has been chasing them ever since his deal with Darky. He explains their situation and that his new plan isn't to kill them, but perhaps trick Darky so that A, he can worry about Mikey, and B, he can finally get breakthrough of Fury. However, while this plan seems to be working at first, thanks to Fury selling him out, Darky eventually found out and forcibly put Fury back in charge. With Fury now back at it, he comes back and tries to lay waste to the group, hopefully able to back up his end of the bargain and hopefully get himself freed. However, the gang were ready for him, and though he could be a tough challenge, they eventually found out a way to finally beat him. They managed to tell Terry to take back control of his body, and after a bit, Terry was able to do so by putting Fury in his ways of attacking. Though Terry has won a day and got back his body, there's still a lot left with him unresolved, and so he decided to leave the group so he can go figure it out. Leaving the group with the next task: find Francesco. Episode 10: The Not-So-Royal Scientist. It's been a good week after the event with Terry. Our heroes were seen at a nearby town close to the king resting up after the fight. Though they understood the urgency of their next task, the fight left all of them a little injured in one form or another. They also wanted to take the time to help better understand their powers in case of bigger threats coming their way. Cody was busy training Sora with her ability the best way he could, while David was helping Mikey learn a form of sword fighting. They used different materials as he was teaching her. That's it. Focus all your energy into your hands. They're like shields, only much smaller. She seemed to be struggling for a bit, but she got the hang of it after a few tries.
Is this really the best way to help me control my powers?
Learning your powers is like learning about your career. It's all about trying to see and understand your capabilities. After a bit of blocking, they decided to take a quick break.
I do feel like I'm getting more used to it.
As I hoped you would, though I still have plenty of things for you to learn.
What about you? I'm positive there's something you need to do, right?
She thought for a moment, and then as she was catching her breath. I suppose they need to study more abilities. There's not only what other trials or hunters are in store for us. They didn't hear the sound of Mikey falling to the ground in exhaustion as David held his fire sword with conviction. Come on, if you want to get comfortable with it, you need to put more of an effort than that. I got up after catching a bit of his breath. Easy for you to say. You've been using that thing longer than I have. I know. That's why I'm teaching you in the first place. Mikey brought the sword up with an annoyed glare. You don't even know how it works. What good is it to teach me sword fighting techniques if you don't even know the blade I'm using? David shook his head in disappointment. I'm just trying to help. I figured if you learn how to sword to fight, then you might be able to use that blade better than you already do. Mikey then went in for a strike as David countered it. They both fought for a bit, with David coming out victorious. Fury is just a tip of the iceberg of what trial you'll face. We struggled hard against him, and he had no idea what he was doing. It is important that we master what we know before we throw ourselves into an opponent who's actually smart. We didn't struggle that hard against him. We did fine. He stayed on the ground as he breathed hard. Catching our opponents off guard isn't a risk we should always take. Some can, and will, know better. Trust me. Mikey sighed as he got back up. Yo, we should probably take a break before we work ourselves to death. Fair enough. Come on, Mikey. We began to walk that direction, but something still seemed off with Mikey. He just kept looking at the store weirdly as they walked back into the building. The others looked at him concernedly. Cody leaned close to David so they could stay out of sound. He's been like this for the past week. Give it time. He's trying his best to cope. I know, but all he's been talking about is finding his mom and trying to understand his power. You don't think he's being a bit obsessive? David looked back as he studied the young little boy. I don't know. Let's not assume the worst just yet. We need to worry about moving forward. Tomorrow we hit the road. If you say so. This day soon turned to night. They took refuge in a motel room in the town, where they all sat in the room except for Cody, who seemed to be working on something. Mikey still looked at his sword with the questions still flooding in as David and Sora rested their achy parts.
I know controlling your ability is so painful.
Yet it's important. Though we'll say, you have made some good progress this past week.
You think so?
Not quite there yet, but you are on a good pace. I'm not sure how much goes to your power, but I can tell good training while I see it. She blushes a bit with some relief.
You don't need to flatter me, but thank you.
They laughed as Cody finished his project. Finally, now it's time to begin. They looked over at him lighting a candle that was on a small cake. Gotta say, probably my finest cake so far. What do you guys think?
It's fine, I guess. So what's it for?
Alright, I tell you guys. Today's my 16th birthday. Both of them looked shocked with this info. You should have told us earlier. Would have gotten you something. Oh, please. You wouldn't possibly know what I want. Even then, I don't really ask for much. I just make you bring me on your journey as a gift. As I'm finally experiencing things my dad has already done. I see. And who taught you how to bake cake? That'll be my mother. My dad was a famous mechanic, then she was a famous chef.
Does she know you're on this quest?
He didn't change his expression as he forgot. He didn't rush outside as he seemed flustered. Of all the things I forgot to do. David laughed as he rushed out. Man, if it was my mother he'd been, he wouldn't hear the end of it. He turned back to Sora as he finished laughing. She was the type of mother who wanted to know where I was every second of my day. Overprotected doesn't even begin to describe her. But that's why I love her. It's a shame she had that fever.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Don't be. I've been over it for years.
Yet, still not your dad?
Baby steps. I can only deal with one thing at a time. They laugh again as they see Cody by a payphone through the window. My mom was seeing right now. Why must the day go so slow? They stopped laughing as they heard the mood was being murdered. We're going to see her. You can wait a bit. He gets up quickly with another annoyed look. But I don't have a bit. He goes over to the door with it flying wide open as Cody walks back in it, knocking him to the ground. Christ is averted. She was a little upset with me for not telling her, but she's also proud of me because she's coming out my dad. So it's all fine. He looks down and sees Muggy rubbing his head in pain. Oops, sorry about that, man. Cody helps him back up and he just goes over to the bed while still rubbing it. You need to get a hold of yourself. It will be all done in due time. Mikey looks over to him, still annoyed. I can't. The three of them looked at each other ironically as Mikey laid there.
Let's change the topic, shall we? Parents, how was your dad?
He was a good man. Couldn't ask for a better one. He's alright, apart from the fact that he likes to go on trips every weekend. What about your...
Good to know. Next topic.
The tension was laying thicker by the second. Did everyone wake up feeling awkward today? I think you're right, Cody. We have worked too much. I bet we go and rest, and hopefully we'll be better by tomorrow. They nodded as they went to the bed. The quest continued as you expected. It did take 2 days to go to their next location. They somehow managed to avoid hunters by this point, but the road is still dangerous. Eventually, the road to Scottsdale is lit up from a distance. They looked at it from a hill close to it with awe.
That was easier than expected.
Don't get too comfortable just yet. We still have to meet the guy. Speaking of which, let's not waste another second. Look at you taking charge. They walked down the hill to the busy city. The sidewalks and streets were full of cars and people, for it was a busy day. Seems it came during rush hour, so that'd be a problem.
Hey, the less I have to look at this city, the better.
I agree. Make sure we're not distracted by trivial things. That's not much to be distracted by. This place doesn't look any different than anywhere else I've been.
Like I said, the less I look at it, the more comfortable I feel.
Rolling down the block, they see a large building that had a large sign that said Anaheim Laboratory written on it. Standing in front of it, they look through the glass doors of determination. All these years, and I've been ignoring this place. I'm surprised you have, but that doesn't matter now. I'm ready to meet my childhood hero. To the guy who helped me understand myself. Yes, all that stuff. They begin to walk in, but Sora still waits by the outside with hesitation. They looks back, recalling one of their prior conversation. Oh, that's right.
Yep, don't worry about me. I'll wait out here until you guys are done.
Sure you don't want one of us to watch you or in there? Not saying it should be me, but anyone else?
No, I can handle myself. You guys do what you need to do. There's nothing to worry about.
They still looked unsure, but they moved along as she went over to one of the benches outside. They walked up to the receptionist at the table, who seemed to be in a bored mood. She looked up to Faria with disapproving eyes. Both Cody and Mikey seemed eager as David looked at her studiously. Good afternoon. I'd like to see Francesco if he has a minute. After investigating them, she shook her head in disbelief.
Sorry, sir, he's not seeing any visitors at the moment, or will be in a while. Leave or I'll call security.
Are you sure? She raised her eyebrow as he knew he wouldn't work. Mikey pushed him aside. Ma'am, please reconsider. I'm the king of Starvania. If you tell him this, he'll know who we are. She shakes her head a little more annoyed.
Leave or I'll call security. I will not repeat.
Maggie then reached for a sword, but David held him back as Cody took a charge. Don't listen to him. I'm actually a world-renowned mechanic named Barry Bird. I want to help Francesco on one of his latest projects with my expertise. She went out for the phone, then walked out with the sight of her calling someone with the defeated looks. Damn, looks like he's paranoia since the incident. Yeah, it's what I expected. Mikey seemed agitated after hearing this. You mean to tell me he's this inclusive? People in the field know him as the quiet inventor. He either hates people trying to beat him, or he works better with complete silence. And how we get to meet him?
That was quick.
They see Sora sit at the bench they just so happen to walk towards. Not really. The receptionist was being difficult and one less in.
He's not going to let some random schmucks inside.
But I'm not a random schmuck. I'm the King of Starvania. Hey, don't get ahead of yourself just yet, buddy. Regardless, we need a proper plan to get by. It's not for a moment with no one coming up with an idea. He could probably bust our way in. He won't do anything afterwards until he sees it's us. David immediately shut the idea down. How about we don't? We need to do something legal to see him. There has to be another way. I like directly out of that Barry Bird angle. Yeah, but that didn't work. This idea is almost foolproof. We'll set us after that. Figure out a different strategy. They bickered back and forth for a bit before Mikey butted in. I don't care which way we go. I just want to see him. He joined the argument with Sora, looking at them concernedly. She had a thought, and sighed as she knew what needed to be done.
Guys, stop acting like toddlers and listen up.
They turned to her as she remained unsure.
I didn't want to come to this, but if you guys are going to keep going at it, we'll get nowhere. I have an idea. It's important that you do exactly what I say.
What is it? And please let me legal.
I think it is. Just follow me.
Shin leads him down a neighborhood with many brick buildings and the like, with others just investigating. Seems pretty shady if you ask me. Just where are you leading us?
Give it a second, we're almost there.
She counts buildings until she sees the one with a good point. What's special about that?
I know these people. They work for Francesco. If you ask them, they should help you get to him.
Who are these people? She seemed hesitant to answer.
That's not important. Just go in there and get it. Please don't be long. Also, don't tell them my name.
She pushed them towards it with haste.
Save it for later. Just go and be quick.
They seemed hesitant themselves, so went along with it as they approached the building. I just feel like I'm the only normal person today. Just stop talking. David knocks, annoyed, as the door opens to reveal a middle-aged man and a woman on the other side. It took a good second before anyone said another word. Can we help you? Yes. We're, from the Francesco Company, and we need access to the building. We heard that you can help us. The other two nuns, the couple looked at them suspiciously through their investigation. They prayed for it to work, and the adults seemed more welcoming after hearing them out.
You must be new to the company. We've been there.
Well, we'll be glad to help you guys out. Come in. We'll get you guys sorted out. They sighed in relief as they went inside. The man went up the stairs and looking home. Quite the place you got here.
You think so? We try our best to keep it neat every day. What brings you to Annihilatory?
Oh, you know, his work.
Isn't everything?
The angry laugh as both Cody and Mikey investigated the room. Mikey noticed some of the pictures by the fireplace, some of them having what seemed to look like Sora in it.
Anyway, both my husband and I worked there the first chance we got. It pays well to be assistants, despite the fact that some of the experiments can get dangerous.
I would imagine. I heard he was a guy who liked to push the standards of biology.
And that even goes for some of his workers as well, so watch out for it.
She lets it get as Mikey shows Cody the pictures. He seems surprised to see it himself. The man finally comes downstairs with a card in his hand. We weren't the first people who never knew we didn't receive a key card. You can borrow ours from now. David takes it with a smile. Thank you. We'll be sure to give it back. That seems terribly inefficient if you ask me. Whatever orientation guy you are clearly isn't doing this job. Anyway, don't mention it. We'll be happy to help our fellow co-workers.
Builds a strong community, you know.
David nodded and lead the other two out while waving goodbye. But Mikey stopped as he had a lingering question in his mind. Before we go, do you know a girl by the name of Sora? The couple looks at him weirdly.
Who?
I don't believe I heard that name. Mikey looks at them weirdly too as he looks at the back of the pictures. Never mind. See you around. They walk out of Sora was eagerly waiting from them on the other side. She sees them walk out with a key card in hand.
Oh good, you got it. Now let's get going.
We're gonna ask her any questions. She pushed them along the road. Mikey got Dave's attention as they walked back towards the building. Did you catch the name of those guys? David looks at the key card to see the name of the man. He reads it out as Sullivan Peters. After reading it, he looks a shot at Sora, who was talking to Cody. They're not as evil and why are they so friendly? Cody. He shows the key card as the answer becomes clear to him. They look at Sora worryingly as Mikey seemed more shocked with his answer. Sora, were those your...
Don't talk about it. We got the key card, and it's there.
Mikey tried the question further, but David forced him not to. They eventually arrived back at the lab, where this time they felt more confident.
Good luck, guys.
Sorry I had to go that direction.
It's fine. Just don't bring it back up.
You heard her. Francesco time. They took one last breath before entering. Approaching the receptionist once more, David flashed a key card in her face. Forgive us for earlier intrusion. We didn't have the proper identification. She sees it and looks at them once again annoyed.
You mean to tell me you're Sullivan Peters?
Of course, and these guys are with me. The two of them nodded in agreement. She was the question further, but stopped after they heard a noise come in their direction. Good to see you, Mr. Peters. They see a weird robot who had one leg rested on a small treadmill, a rectangular body with buttons all over it, 2 arms and claws, and a square head with a smiling face and 3 antennas, one of each side of his head. You must be 10. Indeed I am, small child. Cody seemed unamused as 10 turned to the lady. I'll take it from here. You keep an eye out for other intruders. He turns back to David. Come, Mr. Peters. Francesco awaits your arrival. They nodded and followed as instructed. Meanwhile, Sora waited by the bench with an uneasy expression.
Thank God that's over. Glad I didn't have to see them again.
She studies the city as she relaxed on the bench.
It's been so long. At least this place is nice to look at.
She looks over to see the side of the building suspiciously. Upon further investigation, she sees both Joe and Adriana by the side of it playing something. You said you saw them enter here.
When have I been wrong?
Joe was looking at his gun with a slick smile. You really want me to answer that question?
Oh, quiet you. Time to get revenge for the boss. Who cares if they have a sword or not?
Right, and I suppose you got a plan?
We'll think of that along the way. Fortunately, I know an easy way to enter without getting caught.
She leads him around the building with Sora getting closer.
Ah, great. Of all the times to show up.
She shakes over after sighing.
Damn, looks like I had some help after all.
Back in the building, our heroes follow 10 through a series of hallways. So, Sully, who are your new friends? Just associates of mine. One's from high school. You sure high school? My scanners see them as much younger than that. They excel pretty hard. Is that a fact? In that case, they'll make for great companions for Mr. Anaheim. Never met him. What is he like? He's a nice individual once you get to know him. You'll see in a second as he should be up ahead. They walked further and further until they saw a door that has the sign that said Francesco's office. Cody and Mikey eagerly waited as the 10 opened the door, and so was everything they expected, a bunch of equipment along with papers everywhere. But one of the people saw a man who had a gray t-shirt, orange-brown pants, a white lab coat, and long combed brown hair with glasses. He seemed to be concentrating on something, so much so that he didn't see them walk in. Afternoon, Professor Anaheim. I've brought some guests for you. They moved one step forward before he stopped them. Hold it. Stop right there. He straightens the papers he was working on and gets up with it in hand. What do we have here? Cody quickly rushed over to him with passion. Oh my god, you're Francesco. I'm so excited to see you. You might not know me yet, but my name is Cuddy Bird, and let me just say I'm a huge fan of your work. He shook his hand when Francesco gave him a weird look. Right, of course. The rest of you? Mikey walks up as he takes his sword out. Francesco looks at it with shock as he pushes Cody aside. He walks over to take a look at the sword. I think you know who I am. My king, I thought you were long dead. Francesco puts a huge smile on his face as he bows quickly. David gives Mikey a special look as he accepts the bow. The scene cuts to them walking down the hallway. I heard about the prophecy and everything, but I honestly didn't thought you died during the raid. My father made sure I survived at night. In fact, we thought you died as well. Oh, no. I was waiting on my chips that night. When I heard what was happening, I waited for a way as the pillaging took place. Once I saw the chaos and destruction, I was filled with grief. I took my space here, where after a few years I come to terms with these events. Sad to say, after a while, I gave up hope for Sylvania. So I did what any normal scientist would do and adapt to my situation. As such, here I am now, becoming a famous scientist on Earth. It's a pleasure you wouldn't believe. Oh, trust me, I do believe. Anyway, Professor Anaheim, I had to make a request. The lighting guide said that you helped me teach my powers and to be a king. Francesco looked at him weirdly as they went into another lab. I don't know who this lighting guy is, but he has no idea what he's talking about. I don't know anything about Cosmic. I figured. Yet I know why he sent us to you. My mother can teach me, and she's right now trapped in the castle. Her ability allows me to communicate with her, but in order to teach me, she needs to see my work. I heard you can build something that can help. Francisco thought for a moment as he went to one of his machines. Queen Slaughtergus is still alive. Well, building something like that wouldn't be easy, but I can do that. They're gonna have to wait. However, I'm currently on a major breakthrough where I can just abandon anything for it. On you, it's probably the biggest thing someone has ever thought of. Indeed it is. And as the royal scientist, I was a huge biologist. And one of my biggest products is genetic cloning. It took me years, but it got down pat today. Surprisingly, meeting you isn't the biggest event for me today. Maggie looked shocked as Khalid looked in awe. Spoken like a true scientist, devoted to his work until the end. Or a complete nut job. David notices noise above him, and he wonders what it is. On top of the platform, I had a view below, where the boys were at. Joe and Adriana stood on top confidently. Here they are. Though where's the girl?
3 birds instead and searching for one.
Well, you're married for what you can think of, puppy. Joe looks at him flustered.
Never call me that again.
They didn't hear footsteps of Sword coming closer to them. They see her and get their powers ready. Well, speak of the devil and she shall appear.
Got lost, did we? I don't know what you two are planning, but I'm here to stop you.
She looks down to see the voice herself. Oh, really? Let's see what you got, Berman. At the ground level, Francesco pulled back the curtain and revealed 2 cylinders hooked together. He then hands the 3 of them goggles as they put them on. Join me, Fins, as today we're going to make history. Can this day get any better? About this so-called breakthrough be worth it? It better be, if getting our kingdom back isn't as important to you. Patience, my dear boy. You sure you want to do this? I'm no scientist. Owning yourself doesn't seem like a good idea. Francisco typed away at one of the screens near the machine. Only if done it correctly. Fortunately for me, this is my life's work that I've been spent many years on. It should work the way I expected it to. Sora was having a hard time trying to deal with Joe and Adriana as bullets and strings were hard to block at once. It didn't hurt the machine change up as Francisco pushed one last button. Oh boy, I can't believe I'm here watching this. I heard you the front the first time, buddy. Francisco closed one of the doors and went into the other one before closing it. Make sure you get those goggles on. Now, gaze and be amazed, for today you're going to witness something extraordinary. The blind light appeared and even appeared on top of the others. It made those 3 lose their focus and fall off after losing their balance as well. The light went away after a bit, with the 3 of them falling hard to the ground behind them. The machine was too loud for the boys to hear, but eventually quiet up as they looked back. Ten sees them himself and grabs the magnet members with red lights. And Schroeder as well baited out with quickly, Professor. They were too hurt to notice what was going on, and Ten tossed him out of the room with the red lights appearing. Ten didn't win for Sora, but Mikey stopped her. She's with us. You don't have to worry about her. Ten stopped at hearing that, and he instead helped her out. Acknowledge friend. Welcome to Anaheim Laboratories. She brushes herself off as she awkwardly got up.
Team Magnet again.
I see. Well, I guess you ended up seeing Francesco after all. Speaking of which, the door opens with Francesco coming out, somewhat dizzy. Did it work? As he regained composure, he opens the other door with fog coming out. As it is clear, they see another Francesco walk out. Only his coat's burned out to make it look like a cape. I see. Somehow I ended up cleaning most of the clues in the process. Seems not all made it. The other 4 looked in awe as the second Francesco steps out. A second after he did, he fell to the ground screaming in pain. Their all looks turned to gasp as he lay on the floor with his yells getting louder. Quickly thinking, Francesco called for Ten and asked him to take him to the infirmary. The 4 walked outside as some of them were recovering from what they saw. Francesco walks out with an embarrassed look. It seems I made a small miscalculation experiment. I forgot that I shouldn't have worn clothes with it. What the fuck did we just see? Well, my short friend, I plugged in the machine to only clone my DNA. However, by having my clothes worn in the process, it confused it in making a slight error in the project. Fortunately, my clone is alright now after making an adjustment. You know, the fact that I'm probably the dumbest one here and I knew this was a bad idea, I actually feel satisfied being right. Francesco didn't walk to the side to show the clone come outside with his entire left side changed to a black metal with blue lines all over his body, and a blue line for eyes and hair. He investigated with intrigue.
What am I?
You're a biological clone of myself, or at least you were supposed to be. Yet for the most part, you are me. Do not be confused, I shall call you F2 right now.
That still doesn't answer my question, though I think I can do that myself. I seem to be a failed experiment because of a simple mistake, yet some of me made it through the test.
All remain in shock as Francesco studied with interest. Interesting. He managed to make a request for a test. As you know not tell, it's my king Michael Sarticus. He likes to see his mother, who I am shocked is alive, but crazier things have happened, such as you. So can you build him a machine that allows Liberty to let her see him? F2 took in the request and walked away as the four felt like in reality.
I'm not sure how to react to this.
People can just be cloned? I know, impressive, right? Of course, you truly are someone who's worthy of being the smartest man on Earth. Of course, short boy. My name is Cody. What do you say, short boy? Clearly, my king, you should be back with the invention you seek. I think I'm gonna faint. Eventually, F2 came back with a watch in his hand. He hands over the mic with a proud look.
It wasn't easy, but with the instructions and materials I had, this should be the invention you seek. This isn't the first time someone built that thing. It's actually invented by the Magonian named George Overload in the long years before Earth was colonized.
Mikey investigated with intrigue, but he was still getting over everything he witnessed. Excellent. Just excellent. Things are getting better by the second. F2 is proving he is smart, if not smarter than I am. I've been so amazed by my 35 years of being a scientist. He walks over and gives F2 a pat on the back. Together, we can make even more groundbreaking discoveries.
Indeed. For it's my purpose to make these kinds of discoveries.
Am I the only one who still thinks it's a bad idea? Like, does anyone else see this going to end horribly? As much as I am traumatized, I at least got to watch. I also got to meet my childhood hero and do his thing.
I'm so at a loss to say anything about this.
But my dear Biker friend, you are only witnessing the greatness that is science. This will end great, I'm sure of it. Now then, is there any other request you have? I'm sure you'd like to see me and F2 do anything else. The words became muddled with the ears of F2. He begins to hear static as his mind begins to bundle around his head. He looks over to Francesco with a sinister smile as he begins to lose his train of thought. Meanwhile, Joe and Adriana made it back to the other two members. You're definitely here, boss. Unfortunately, that stupid lap bit us from killing him. Security there is pretty tight. Still, at least we know where they're at. We shall make our next move sometime soon.
How about we wait a bit? My eyes are still in a lot of pain.
Whatever. Anyway, what else did you see happen there?